Welcome, everybody. It is my pleasure to have everybody back for the second part of The Hole in the World, beginning with a very special interlude called The War Report. Essentially, a lot of stuff has happened in the first 27 episodes, and after the break, we wanted to start off with a bang, quite literally, in the middle of the war that has defined and scarred so much of Satyrine. I, as always, am your humble game master, Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino, and I am joined by my four wonderful cast members today. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, Marcy.
Hey everyone, it's me, Marcy, aka Experimental Madness. You can find me online under that username most places except on Twitter, where I am and will continue to be your resident cryptid under the username Marciful. I'm super psyched to be coming back to The Hole in the World. For the interlude, I am playing a character designated codename The Mask.
Excellent. Bill, if you wouldn't mind following up.
Yeah, also excited to be back. You can find me on the internet on Discord, at GhostBike is the handle. And for the interlude, I am playing the Tailor.
Excellent. If you would go ahead and let us know who you are, Hopper.
Ha! That is I, Hopper. I can be found in, on, and around the internets at Fail Deadly. That's with a 3 instead of an E. And I use they, them pronouns, as does my character that I am playing this evening. Who is codenamed The Hammer.
And finally, Marissa, if you'd go ahead and tell us your code name and who you are.
Hi everybody, I'm Marissa and I go by Critical Kitten most places around the hallowed digital halls of the socials and the interwebs, and I generally play Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, First Assistant Librarian of the Order of the Vance. However, for our War Report interlude, I will be playing a similarly intellectually bent character designated codename The Rook.
Excellent. So guys, just before we get started proper, I just wanted to give a word of warning to anybody who is tuning in for the first time to our show, in particular for this interlude. This interlude is set in the middle of the war, and thusly it actually has scenes of warlike violence as well as trauma, and there are a bunch of different associations that a lot of folks who are triggered by that should be aware of. So just as you kind of go into today's episode, know that your safety is paramount to us. So if you are triggered by anything of the subject matter of that sort, things like weapons of mass destruction, wartime violence, and injury, we please just ask that you use your best discretion and decide whether or not you want to tune in. The show as normal will return after the interlude, so we will happily catch you up on everything that transpired, and we will be happy to welcome you back. So without further ado, let me give you guys a part 1 recap, and to kind of set the mood there, let's go ahead and have a little bit of music. So the first 27 episodes of The Hole in the World have been fairly momentous. We had 4 player characters who discovered one of the main things that they had in common was they don't remember who they were and what kind of relationship they had to one another. All of this seemed to be knowledge that they lost over the course of the war. There were many things that they shared and found similar about themselves in this regard, in this deficit, but it took many different actions and many different kind of adventures together for them to realize how inextricable their lives were from each other. You know, one of the first things that you guys managed to do was make the acquaintance of a powerful mob boss. You, on top of that, saved the life of a wrongfully accused man. You put to rest a ghost that was haunting a vitally important part of Satyrine's infrastructure, the radio station of Satyrine in the Topiary district. Not only that, but you guys managed to defuse a hate cyst, one of the leftover horrifying weapons of the war, and in so doing managed to save a district from further destruction, and were meant to be rewarded by the ruling government of Satyrine before that went sideways. You guys have faced down silver-clad villains. You have encountered other people from all walks of the actuality, and now you find yourselves thrust together for the first time in a long time inside of a living document. When last we left you at the end of the 27th episode, you had all found yourselves charging forward as part of what appeared to be a magical simulacrum of the war itself. The report warning you, or trying to basically relay comfort to you in that, do not panic, you are being translated. And this has transpired. And as you watch a rush of bodies running through trenches, through smoke-filled and mist-filled battlefields, you watch as all of these forms shimmer and move past you as though living holograms. And you realize that you are in this simulacrum. You can see each other at a distance, and that is when you hear the voice of the author speak to you. Acknowledgements. The author wishes to thank many Visley, Nons, and other entities that risked their lives to compile the data to create this living document. Without their hard work and the sacrifices of those who laid the foundation for these operations, we would not be able to count this record among the most comprehensive sources of information on the defense of Indigo. I must also express my gratitude to Queen King Quis, the Warden of the Indigo Sun, who, like Vizsla herself, has been a comforting guide throughout this terrifying conflict. As you hear these words, time slows to a crawl. The only thing that seems to move are your forms that shimmer, but you are no less recognizable to each other. It is at this moment you can speak.
Yo, what the fuck?
You can all hear me, right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Are
I
you...
can't believe they didn't thank the publisher.
Forward! This war report represents a summary of 3 major operations that took place during the first 6 months of the Taverswood Offensive, a strategic military defense initiative that culminated in the disappearance of Upper Taverswood from Satyrine. I created the following magical simulacrum to better inform the CS of the circumstances and events leading up to the disappearance of the district.
I knew it. Why would you name it Lower Taverswood without having an Upper Taverswood?
Does make sense, doesn't it?
As you guys are speaking, you feel as if you are being benignly transposed, as if your shimmering forms are beginning to solidify. You can see your features almost changing in line, and as they change, the voice speaks again. Classification of the operation. Each operation was supervised by one of 4 generals: the apostate General Usiren Neharan, General Mardala Zaleska of the Order of the Vance, General Afaldo Rem of the Order of Makers, and General Shaya Kazan of the Order of Goetics, Singer of Life for those who walk the path of suns. Again, time is still slow. The words echo, and your forms begin to change even more. Background. Operations Unguis, Lowell, and Tiberian represent the 3 primary clandestine operations of the Caderak. This team, named after a secretive creature from the Blue Sun, comprised 4 primary operatives and several support makers and staff. Those operatives, the Mask, the Tailor, the Rook, and the Hammer, were hand-selected by General Nehron to intercept and recover enemy intelligence and weaponry. Of primary interest for Operation Unguis were the hate cysts employed by the enemy invasionary forces. Witness now the operation in its totality. And again, you all feel the pull of that benign transposing force as you are pulled into the middle of a room. And all of you find yourselves staring at each other and at a single form behind a desk, an imposing form, one clad in what appears to be a very distinct suit of armor. He is a handsome elder gentleman, salt and pepper hair, dark skin, and there are several medals pinned to the chest of this armor plate. All of you find yourselves standing at attention in front of a row of chairs, at which point the salt and pepper gentleman looks to all of you. Be seated at ease. What do you all do?
Sit.
Maurice takes a look around. What do his companions look like?
I will tell you this. We'll go in order. Marcy, could you please describe your player character for us?
You see a man wearing, ostensibly a man. You think it might be a man. It's really unclear. Wearing a standard military jacket, little bit, I'd say the closest thing that I can get to the proper description is very steampunk, as if like it's like a steampunk World War I British British uniform. But the only thing that's missing is a face. Again, there is a face. Ostensibly, it has to be a face. But it looks like a warped old drama mask. And there isn't anything behind it. It's void. It's ostensibly a mask that you would normally have handheld. In fact, you can even see the line where you would be holding it, where a neck should be, and around it again is a void that seems to be holding it up. And the mask seems to mirror the facial expression of whoever this person is paying attention to. So right now it's a very stern, almost hyper-exaggerated, again, dramatic mask form of the emotion of the officer in front of him.
Could you also, as this gentleman is looking all of you over, as if kind of reading where your attention is, I think very next, the tailor, your gaze falls on a silver masked figure. Hopper, could you please describe your player character?
So you see a figure about 5'7", 5'8", who has declined to sit, and they are wearing a tattered greenish gray field jacket that seems to have been sewn and repaired and just definitely been through a lot. In addition to that, they have this dull, almost like a red hood covering the top of their covering their head, and a silver half mask that covers the entire bottom of their face. It seems to be etched with a gold pattern of some kind. The skin that is exposed is very seems to be largely heavily scarred. Looks like kind of this that heavy pink keloiding scar tissue that's been pitted by some sort of magical attack, likely, given that the mask also on the left side seems to have taken some damage. Their eyes are this clearish pink color, seeming not to have. In fact, you're pretty sure that's they don't have any pigment in their eyes. You're just seeing the blood vessels in there, and They are across their back. They're slung a small pack with a bandolier of ammunition across the front, and the haft of a sledgehammer that seems to be attached in the back in some manner.
Excellent. Finally, would you go ahead and describe your character, Marissa, as the tailor's gaze falls on you?
Sure. So you see a Vance of slim build with sleek curled black hair that frames her cheeks. She looks to be something of a kind of elegant and cool-minded sophisticate with a sort of social savoir-faire. And so you can tell as she goes to take her seat, you know, she's perching very elegantly at the edge of her seat. Her legs go into what they call the Duchess slant, where, you know, it's very, very delicate looking. She's perched. She has very good posture. She's sitting up very straight. But her expression is extremely determined and calculating. She's wearing what can only be described as a battle dress with a dark, high Victorian collar that has the sigil of the Vance pinned where the fabric comes together at the closure near the throat. And perhaps most strange to you, her hair is done up in a very elegant looking updo wherein a gilded raven is nesting, almost a little robotic looking.
Excellent. And finally, Bill, you all of the other characters, you all kind of feel the gaze of this individual looking at all of you. Bill, could you please describe your player character?
What time of day is it?
It is probably dusk.
You see a tall, thin, older man, very stiff in his movements. He carries a large bag approximately 2 feet wide and sets it down to the side of his chair and sits back. He's wearing clothes that do not belong on the front line of a war. Boots with slacks, a collared shirt and a scarf, and his bald head with wispy hair on the sides, and he sits back and seems to take everything in this room.
Absolutely. And as you are taking this in, as if your gaze has been noticed by the commanding officer behind the desk, you hear them speak very clearly and in a very thick baritone voice. The Irreverent Mott, the mask. Okris, the hammer. Kieran, the tailor. Kieran von Mellis, the tailor. Allegra von Hollingsworth, the rook. All of you have been hand-selected, as by recommendation of your respective generals, as well as your referring operatives. I am General Naharon. I am chagrined, as it were, to resort to such an operation. However, we need to know what we are dealing with. All of you have been hand-picked for a very sensitive mission. A new weapon has begun turning the tide not in our favor. This weapon, utilized by our enemy, is a devastating addition to warfare. All of you are selected because you are quiet and discreet in your efficacies, let us say, and your talents. It is important that we discover the nature of this threat. We have sent other teams to inquire as to its capabilities. As more of them fall, we find ourselves having fewer and fewer experts to draw on. We had high hopes for the Alpha team going in for as part of an advanced scouting unit. We have not heard back. And so it is with great reticence that I ask that you take on this operation to discover what happened and to recover any intelligence that they may have been privy to. Are there any questions before we get into the classification of this mission? Good. All of you are to rendezvous with our forward operative at Bravo position in Upper Taverswood, at the shrine of the Unknowable Angel. There, you will be directed through the trenches towards the Aberavian Field, wherein you will find yourselves in the midst of enemy territory. You are to then proceed 2 clicks remward and 1 click stemward to continue to find the last known position of the Alpha team. Whatever you encounter of the enemy should be eliminated with extreme prejudice unless you can go undetected. Is that understood? This mission is of a highly sensitive nature. It is my understanding as well that some of your referring generals may have additional instructions, but that is not under my purview as of this briefing. This is your final opportunity to ask me any additional questions before I send you to General Rem, who will administer to you several ephemera that may come in handy during the course of this mission. Very well.
Rules of engagement.
Eliminate on site. Produce the intel. Record where possible. Recover is of high priority. Secondary objective: try to recover and assist the rescue of any of Alpha Team. Understood?
This weapon, is it a single thing? Are there many? Is it handheld?
No. It appears to be some form of ordnance that the enemy is using. It is not a material in nature. It is more organic, more unpredictable.
A sample, then?
Samples where possible. Do not endanger yourselves or the mission, as you are absolutely critical assets to the understanding of it. In particular, the mask, the hammer. You are to provide advanced cover for the tailor and the rook.
Understood.
Excellent.
Alpha Team, is their identities classified?
Yes, that is need to know information. However,
Do we have numbers?
there were 5 members of Alpha Team. We had divined their location throughout the course of the operation. However, we lost the divination after some time. Shia was not able, or General Kazan was not ever able to find a pathway in that would be safe. We are going to be taking you a roundabout way, as it were.
It's a group of angsty-ass motherfuckers who are all staring silently at the general.
Dismissed. And and at which point General Neheiron stands up and begins to walk out of the room, out of a back entrance, leaving the entrance through which you entered.
And we know where we know where to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is you guys have been directed to go to the Makery after you're speaking with General Neheiron.
Right. Then this is where Kieran spends his time, so he stands up, grabs his bag, and walks out of the room.
Excellent. Yeah,
sorry, is this all indoors? Is this all a complex?
It appears to be a field tent that is larger on the inside than it is on the out.
And the sun has not yet set?
It has not, but it is minutes.
before he leaves, Kieran opens the bag and snaps his fingers, and black cloth wraps around his head, and he pulls out a set of goggles and walks out of the room.
Excellent. Yeah. What do the rest of you do?
Mott's face alters to a very just like thin line. There are no eyes in this mask. It is entirely a void. It just mirrors your emotions or whoever he's having to be focusing on. And right now it's like filled with determination, but mixed with one part curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely.
As he walks out as well.
What about the hammer and the rook?
Hammer is, I think the hammer is just gonna mosey on after them. I think just striding with purpose.
And
Rook, however, does not mosey, and I think she overtakes you as you are moseying with purpose because she is striding with purpose, and she quickly, I think, catches up with Kieran, or close to.
excellent. Yeah, as you are making your way through this kind of tent complex, the walls being kind of long white flaps, as you kind of turn a corner, there is a series of kind of passing flaps that lead to another kind of compartment within the tent. As you guys get closer to your destination, you notice that there are parts of the tent that appear to be singed. Some of them have taken what look to be chemical burns to some of the cloth. There are bits and flakes of reagent and alchemical enhancements that are kind of lined throughout. And at the very end of a over-large compartment of the tent, you see a Ordo Rem, the Maker General, who appears to be clad in a fairly kind of simple leather armor and apron, but what you guys notice is that essentially that the pieces of his body that you can see appear to be slowly shifting and recombining stone cubes, so that appear to emit a little bit of green light with every shift. It's like basically watching a person were made of Tetris. And at which point you hear the voice echoing down from the back of the compartment. Are you the operatives? Good. This way. And as you kind of, your gazes are kind of pointed back to the to this general, you notice all of the alchemical equipment, the smithing equipment, all of the manner of crafting and making that have basically lined in very orderly grid throughout this compartment. And there are several makers scurrying backwards and forwards, one of which, Kieran, you recognize as Abron, a fellow maker, and your connection to this general.
Kieran has stowed the face wrap and the goggles at this point, and walks forward to Abron and says, "It appears I've been summoned."
Well, you've picked a very nice time to show up. Ordo has gotten into fine form, as it were.
I can't wait.
And at which point you all kind of are received by Ordo, at which point I think that knowing as he does about your particular proclivities and your abilities, Kieran, he produces something you're very familiar with, which is your ephemera bag. The several ephemera that you have kept on your person, he asked to hold on to while he used the ephemera bag to basically hold all of them together and outfit the rest of the team. And he says, I've had a little bit of trouble crafting some things, but I think that, and finding the resources, but given what we've been able to accomplish, I think that this should do nicely. And you realize that he is hard of hearing from all of the kind of explosive and the chemical reactions that have been ongoing in the tent, so he tends to talk very loud over what's happening. Just says, so I think many of those are going to be self-explanatory to your friend Kieran here. It's my understanding that if you need any additional tampering or any additional kind of decryption of things that you find, the things should be coming to me. And only me. Do not let anybody touch them before I do, for their own safety. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
As we understood you the first time.
Excellent. Good. You're supposed to meet up with, I believe, the Pathwalker General any moment to find your way to the landing zone, as it were. Is that the appropriate term? Anyhow, rendezvous with the Pathwalker as well as the Vance, and you should be set to operate forward.
It's Mott's face mask is now mirroring the shouting face. It's just like an open mouth now. It's like, ah!
Oh my god.
Excellent. This one has the right of it, and just pointing at Mott's mask, and says, once again, we're going to have limited contact with you in the field, so if you need something or you need the resources of the makers, you tell us now.
I believe that's why I'm part of the team, is it not?
Precisely. And carry on. And he turns to face whatever he was kind of constructing beforehand before giving the ephemera bag to you and then handing it off to Kieran.
Well, and Kieran looks to all three of you. Let's see what we have. And he kind of shuffles off to the side to be out of the way of everybody and opens the bag and sees what's inside.
Which I believe you can read off for us, Bill, if you would be so kind.
Oh, so this is my ephemera bag.
This is your ephemera bag, but it is filled with the ephemera that we outfitted you with at the beginning of the session.
I see. Okay. Okay. So there is
yeah, there is I'll kind of chime in here, I guess.
Sure. I've got 4 things. I just don't know if they're the 4 things that you want.
No, those will be on your person.
Okay.
Yeah, for the sake of efficacy, he borrowed your ephemera bag.
Gotcha.
So you have a red potion called Burning Power. You have a fetish about the size of a tiny bird claw called Touch of Madness. You have a clear elixir called a Taste of Alacrity. There is an amulet, which you know to be Abrogation. And finally, there is a what appears to be a fist-sized animal shell that you know, having been familiar with some of the work that Abron has done, is an armoring shell. And finally, there is a small black pill, which you know as a sortilege bolus. All of these are incredibly handy items to have. How useful they will prove to your operation, we will find out. Okay. So, with all of that being the case, you are handed this ephemera bag and then given the task to distribute these items as needed. What are any of you guys doing anything in the makery before you proceed?
Touching things that I know I shouldn't be touching.
Yeah.
Just like Everett is just one of those like it's one of those uncontrolled like toddlers. He's just like constantly like prodding things of every make and size.
Yeah. At which point you just hear, whoa, be careful, that'll give you scales.
So Kieran, while distributing, like basically kind of hands these off to you and says, I don't really care which ones you take. And then he opens his bag and climbs into it as if down a ladder and comes back after a few minutes and is dressed head to toe in like black tactical gear. It's all very cloth and leather based. It's one of 2 Hellboy characters. It's basically the lobster and also that the Nazi guy covered in just like entirely in black with the goggles, but notably he keeps his head uncovered at this moment and kind of climbs back up out of the bag, shuts it, and and then looks to make sure the rest of you are ready to go.
And as he is looking at all of you, you notice there is a slight bit of frost, a tinge of it, on either side of his temples. Okay, finally, is anybody taking any additional actions, speaking to the general, speaking to Abron, anything that you guys want to do before proceeding?
While I was in my bag, I'm going to use a Forte ability.
Okay.
Called Extra Moment. I set up an ability, and anytime before the next sunrise, I can take an action on my turn. Basically, I'm saving an action to use later.
Excellent. And what does this look like to anybody that's kind of happens to see you do this?
Well, if I'm inside my bag at the moment,
right.
But if anyone could see it, it looks like I'm just meditating, kind of envisioning what I would like to do.
Excellent.
I would technically I probably already did this, but for the edification of you, Zach, as the storyteller, and the audience, I have chosen the path of the red sun for today.
Excellent. Yeah. So as you kind of choose your sun with which to align, does this kind of take on a particular form?
Yeah. So probably not anything super noticeable, but there is I think both the hammer, the head of this just extremely mundane looking old heavily used sledgehammer kind of shimmers with like a red iridescence, and the gold etching on my masks changes from gold to a similar like kind of pearlescent red.
Excellent. Mott and Allegra, do you guys have any, or Everett and Allegra, do you guys have any preparations you'd like to make before proceeding?
I think Allegra just sort of reaches a finger up into her hairdo and scritches at the beak of her raven, and she goes, there, Sophanox. Hush now.
Ah! And yeah, you just kind of feel the raven kind of nestle its beak a little bit, nuzzle it into the nest, and just gently kind of touch the hair past it, and then brings it back up and kind of settles in.
You do, though, when I do this, everyone around me seems to just have a slight general mood improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's, you kind of notice as you walk past the makers that there are a few of them that a smile plays at the corner of their lips as they look at the raven in your head.
I roll to resist feeling happy.
Excellent. I love it. Irreverent Mott.
Nothing for prep, because I'm not spending my soul story points right now. We're in camp. But you definitely see him toying with a gold ring on his right ring finger.
Excellent. Okay. So as you begin minding your way out of the makery, you see at the very end talking to one of several kind of passing figures that are apparently performing kind of field office work and basically giving additional field intelligence work. There is a very tall woman with a cobalt blue streak through her hair, who is wearing a very elaborate but very immaculately kept and very well constructed suit of armor. She's probably about 5'10" or 5'11", but otherwise there is kind of a hard set to her jaw, as she is very kind of quickly administering instructions to people who all share a similar but notably distinct uniform from the other soldiers, who you all recognize as Vances. One of whom you all recognize this as it matches the uniform that Allegra is wearing. At which point she turns to you and says, operatives, it is my understanding that you must join General Kazan in the adjacent chamber if you would. And she kind of nods all of you and kind of directs you. Do any of you do anything before proceeding?
Mott's walking furthest ahead.
Okay. As all of you kind of move past, you do feel her hand, which is very kind of firm grip, but not to hurt you. Allegra, you feel the grip of this woman on your arm. And she says, hold a moment, Miss von Hollingsworth. If you would be so kind, I would like to administer a bit of practical praxis magic, if you will.
A bit of advice?
Not a bit of advice, so much as a bit of an enchantment.
Equally as useful. Please proceed.
And she says, when the moment is right, if you need assistance, all you need to do is say my name, Moralda Valeska. Understood?
Understood, Zaleska.
And she begins casting a Vancian spell, her eyes glowing a powerful kind of translucent light that seems to shimmer around them. And she is making eye contact with you as she does it. You feel a magical effect come over you. Do you care to resist it?
No, I'll let it happen. Does it proceeds as expected?
Yeah, absolutely. So as is expected, you feel this kind of enchantment wash over you. And she nods and says, good luck out there, Vance. I'm looking forward to reading your treatise on whatever transpires.
I shall try not to need this, whatever it is you've just done. But thank you for it nonetheless.
Understood. Excellent. Proceed. And she ushers you along. At which point, all of you guys make your way through another passage of this incredibly large tent, at the end of which there is just a collection of people that they seem to have a motif of orbs in the form of jewelry, of tattoos. There just seems to be this kind of and you realize that as you kind of get closer, all of them are wearing symbols of the suns. The blue sun, the green sun, all of them kind of vary all the way through the entire path of suns, and one of whom seems to have 15 of these marks on her body. And why don't you tell me and describe for me, Marcy slash Everett, what does she look like, and what form do those orbs take on her person?
Oh boy. Okay. So I think the way I almost picture the suns as like a bandolier, these little orbs that stretch across in a pattern. I think the way that the light works, or perhaps how magical these badges, these orbs actually are, they seem to keep reflecting and refracting light of each of their respective places and suns, which creates, I'd almost say, it's both comforting and eerie in a way if you don't understand what's going on. The woman is a little bit above average height. Hair is brown, but a little bit sort of spiky, as if it can't actually like stay in any one particular place. The most notable thing I think about this woman is that she has two different colored eyes. One is green and one is purple.
Excellent. Yeah, and as she looks at all of you, she says, excellent, you are then the Caderak. Good. All of you, I will be providing your transportation into the field, as it were. You will be moved and ushered in a position that is close to the forward base. If you rendezvous with the sergeant there, you should have all of the intel and situation report you need for what is on the ground and what you can expect. Be careful out there. We all look forward to seeing you back here safely. And may the invisible sun shine on you all. And she does this, but when she says that last line, she's looking expressly at you, Everett.
My face is now taking on a look of sincerity. It can only ever mirror the emotions of those in front of me. So it's in tune with whatever she's expressing. And you see Everett sort of shift a little. We've already got our instructions from the other general. But is there anything else that we should know, General Kazan?
You should be careful, foremost. Try to save and help as many people as you can. I don't know what you're going to face out there. A lot of our divination has been blank. I am marshaling a host to assist us here, but I will be unable to summon any help for you, as it'll take a great deal of energy, but that's why you have the ring. We look forward to seeing you again. Come on, Everett. And she, in so doing, then turns to the flap behind her, and she takes a small piece of chalk, actually I would say it's more like an oil pencil, draws a large rectangle and a circular knob on this rectangle, at which point she begins kind of speaking a few words in a language that Everett, only you have been able to pick up a little bit of. And while her eyes are closed, she reaches out to this drawing of a door. It appears slowly but surely, as if kind of standing out in the front flush with the tent. The knob, very simple affair, and you realize that she has cast Walk the Path, and she opens the door, and beyond it you see what looks to be a small field that has some vegetation, some ruined kind of buildings and debris as if hit by ordnance and bombs, and from the distance past the door you hear the sound of crescendoing explosions in the distance. Boom. And as the sounds here kind of begin sounding off, she looks at all of you and says, "Good luck."
I think before stepping through the door, Everett kind of grabs her arm and sort of like leans in to like not be overheard by the others. But of course they're in close quarters, so it's the best that he can do. It's just, I don't like leaving you behind. I was hired for a job for you.
I know. Everett, thank you. I will always be grateful for you, and I think I'll be okay for a few hours.
But you better.
And she just pats you on the arm. And what face does the irreverent Mott make?
Well, what kind of emotion is he picking up on from Chaya? Because that's what, if it's sort of just that I'll be fine, then it's going to mirror kind of a confident smile. It should be noted that Everett's mouth does not move. The voice seems to sort of just echo from the nothingness around this floating mask.
Mm-hmm.
There's no movement on the face at all. It's just static as emotions shift and change.
Excellent. Okay, so I will tell you with the flip of a card, our first Path of Sun's Sooth deck turn, and for this I'm going to switch over to our new Path view.
It's been so long.
Exciting!
I missed it.
So we're gonna turn a card. Oh, this one's not a good one, guys.
Oh no!
This is the Vizier. the nemesis of notions, cats, clocks, and wind. Meanings.
Not me right now.
I love that one though. It's such a good. I know it doesn't have a good effect, but it is a good card.
It's so weird because that's normally my
That's
my
me
purview.
now.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, anybody whose card family this is the nemesis of, you get -2 on your actions while it is in play. Its meanings are manipulation, sycophant, power, and influence. Lurking in the shadows, the vizier controls from a distance. They do not sit upon a throne, but instead are the power behind that throne. They don't make laws, they circumvent them, but they do it to further the ends of the ruler, the land, or perhaps themselves. The vizier has a secret agendas within agendas. Their smooth words manipulate everyone, even the ruler they supposedly serve. Thus, they have much of the real power and influence. Are they acting in the best interests of the ruler or themselves? How can we ever be certain? The vizier is the nemesis of notions. They cannot be trusted. Okay. So this is a very precipitous card turn. I will tell you this. The read you get on Shaya's face is nondescript. It's actually fairly a little bit terrifying, as you don't find it easy to read the emotion there. And I think that before you can stop your face, you mirror this kind of clouded.
Yeah, I can't actually control them. I will always show the emotions that I pick up on from other people.
Yeah, absolutely. She takes one look at that and points to the door.
Mott just tilts his head and just sort of goes before, like, half stepping through it.
Mm-hmm.
You're lying. But I guess we'll have to talk about that when I get back, won't we?
And she doesn't say anything. Okay. As all of you make your way through the door.
Wait, and which family was this again? Because I totally forgot what my family is.
Notions, cats, clocks, and wind.
Cool.
All right. I believe that is actually Okris's. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you traverse the door, it closes behind you, and what looks to be this almost kind of like bed sheet that was you turn around to see the door basically non-existent, and instead there is a bed sheet flying through the wind, half torn, half burned by what has been transpiring on this battlefield. So as you do this, as you step through, you hear again the sounds of distant munitions off in the forward. You know for a fact that you are inside of 1 click from the trenches, the forward operating base to which you've been assigned. My question is, how do you go about getting there?
Well, we're going to want to avoid, I think, brunt of most of the fight. Aren't we?
That does sound wise.
It is a sound strategy. However, we shouldn't waste time. We should try to find the most efficient route possible as well.
Zach, how far do we have information on how far behind the line
I will say that
we're trying to get?
You are 2 clicks from the line. Or you are 1 click from the forward operating base, which represents the edge of the Satyrinian army's territory. The objective is 2 clicks stamward and 1 click remward, which are 2 additional cardinal directions. So,
Fucking hate that.
What does that mean?
Thanks, Monty Cook.
Fantastic.
Whatever. I'm just here to break shit and have fun, and I'm all out of having fun. So I think this is probably the first time you hear the hammer really say much beyond asking for orders for engagement, and rules of engagement and whatnot, and quickest ways through.
I will also kind of take a moment here. You guys have been given this mission, which you understand is basically recovering enemy intelligence and weaponry, or kind of whatever ordnance they've been using. My question is, this is probably the first time any of you have worked together. What are you guys all feeling this moment? We'll start with Everett.
Everett is extremely nervous. Most of the instructions are kind of old hat, kill if you get encountered, get the item and get out. This is like, he's been hired for these types of jobs before. Granted, it wasn't during a war, so that makes it a little different. He's not a soldier. He's more of a thief or an assassin for hire. So this is a little bit above his pay grade, and most often during the battle, he's just been Chaya's direct bodyguard and is extremely uncomfortable that he's not with her. Like, this might be one of the first times, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, during his tenure being brought into the war that he's not been directly at her side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't like that. Not good. Hate that. But luckily, none of y'all can see that because he can't show his own emotions. So he's probably flitting to a bunch of variations of what all three of you are feeling.
Excellent. Chris, what about you? What are you feeling right now as you're kind of looking at these strangers?
I think Chris is looking at these people and they're not really real to them yet, in the sense that they're just Chris thinks these people are probably going to die and leave them alone, so no sense in forming attachments, and they'll finish the mission. That's all that matters, is doing the thing.
Excellent.
Is there anything else?
Allegra, what are you feeling right now?
I think Allegra's reflecting a little bit back on her very brief encounter with the Zaleska and sort of musing on the formality of it, because Zaleska is something of a mentor to her, and so it was very strange to just be kind of handed off as though she were any other Vance, any other soldier. But I think Allegra quickly, files this thought away in the proper drawer. It's wartime. This is a formal mission, certainly just a formality, and it's to be expected. Equally, I think as she looks around at her kind of fellow companions on this mission, she telegraphs a little bit of like irritable brusqueness, almost as though, she's hoping that everyone hired for the Caderak has been vetted properly by other generals and is sufficiently competent, because she's been involved in some operations in the past where she's had to kind of pull dead weight of other people who are working with her. So I think she's sort of assessing each of you, like analyzing you pretty in-depthly with her gaze.
Excellent. And finally, what is the Kieran making of all of this?
Kieran catches Allegra's gaze, and he has her pegged as the only person who doesn't belong in this operation. And on top of that, he is thinking, I normally work alone, and I probably could have done this myself. And he puts on some gloves. These are very tight fitting. You can hear the leather kind of squishing on them, but as soon as the second one comes on, they're completely silent. And he has used the ephemera object Rat's Soul to gain +1 on all stealth options going forward. And then after he cracks his knuckles, and then you see, if anyone's looking at him, you swear this wasn't in his hands before, but a small object those familiar with sewing and tailoring would identify it as a seam ripper. And he kind of just holds it up to the wind and looks around. What kind of magic do I sense, Zach?
You sense, okay. So as you raise the seam ripper up, it begins to vibrate with a very low hum, which is to say it is omnipresent, whatever is there. But you are getting kind of the feeling of, there is, I think, a tactile sensation of red magic and destructive magic. There is the background noise of always having an indigo tinge to the indigo sun and Satyrine. However, the thing that is kind of jerking your hand violently is that there is a tinge of dark to this. There is a facet of dark to whatever this kind of background hum is.
Can I determine, based on our destination, a path that is safer or a path that is more red versus more dark?
I will tell you this. Why don't you go ahead and make me a intellect roll? I will say that you may use the Seam Ripper to give you +2 to your venture,
Cool.
in addition
And
to
the
whatever
Bene.
bonuses you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adding 3 to the die, that's a 7.
Excellent. So with a 7, you get a sense of, you can follow that tinge of indigo, but also you kind of feel the red is actually pulling you further away from the dark, which is super. It feels like maybe this might be something that is being marshaled by your allies.
Cool. So like if we follow the indigo, that's kind of the safe path.
Yeah, exactly.
He tucks the Seam Ripper kind of in a perfectly sized slot and looks to Al and says, I believe this way would be the safest. And points.
Yeah. You guys just, yeah, go ahead.
How exactly did you come about that? Where's your evidence?
I am a maker, my dear.
And that's
can
supposed to
trust
be, I'm
me
supposed
or
to take
not.
that on fact?
You can take it or leave it. And
Well,
he opens his bag, and the same cloth you saw him wrap himself, it wraps around his entire face, and he puts on some goggles and says, can any of you see in the dark?
Oh man, Everett can't smile, but there's just this kind of I'm trying not to make a really bad joke, but Mart's just, let's just say I've spent a lot of time without sunlight.
I knew I liked you.
If you're a maker, how about you start making sense?
I can detect the flow of magic. There is a path of indigo. We could follow it, or we could charge forward and swing at it with a hammer.
I vote for that one.
Fine.
I vote for a path. Chances
at
are
this-
you're
at
not
this
really going to
moment-
find one.
As soon as Okra says this, Kieran says, fine, and he vanishes. He is casting his forte long step to move a very long distance instantly. I don't know how far this will take me, but I'll cast it again to get where I need to go.
Okay. All right. You guys have been abandoned by the tailor.
Oh, that's great.
Do you, I will ask you this, very long distance away, I think is somewhere around 200 to 300 feet. Do you
Right,
just
the
try,
next step up goes to like a whole mile.
yeah, do you like, what was it? Do you kind of signal to them before you go, or are you just gone?
Let's see. You see, actually, no, you don't see anything. You just see kind of a cock of the head. And then I'll cast that to move. The first place we're going is like 2 kilometers away.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cast that as many times as I need to get there.
Okay. I'm going to say twice. What are you guys doing to get there? I think that Allegra, you have a very clear, you probably have the clearest logistical sense of where to go. What about the hammer and the mask?
A quick question about how objects of power work, because I've never used one before.
Okay.
Do you have to spell sorcery points in order to activate them?
You do not. You just...
Oh, buddy! So you see Everett just sort of twisting his gold ring, and he just gives kind of a shake of the head. His face is looking like sort of that weird, discerning, untrustworthy look, because that's the aura both of you have been radiating. And he's just, look, we got ourselves a mission. We can either do it together or it can all fall apart. But I don't know about all you, but I've got a promise to uphold, and I'm not dying out here today on this field. So suck it up and let's get this done. And then he can fly. He just gives the ring one more turn, and he's off into the air, trying to like maybe try to, like, he leaps up first maybe to try and spot where Kieran went, because he's not a dumbass and knows if there's an easy path to follow, you take it. So he might want to spot to see if like I can see you like coming in and out of reality.
Oh
there.
yeah, please roll to see if you can spot me.
I'd love to. I don't know how does like, because you said you had to recast it, so I'm assuming you have to like
Sure.
appear and then come like in and out.
Yeah, that's true.
What is that, perception?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception roll. And
Okay, I'm popping a Bene into that. I'm pretty good at that.
Versus my stealth roll.
yeah.
Yeah, we are the worst.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Did you?
That's a 9 on the dice.
Shit. All right. Beats my 8.
Ooh. All right. So here's the thing: is I think that you have a very unfamiliar feeling at the back of your head, Kieran, as you traverse your distance. You have the stunning realization that you haven't had in a very long time, which is somebody has seen where you've gone.
This is not a magical. This is just like with eyes.
I'm assuming with eyes, yes. Like somebody knew
that don't exist.
exactly.
Right.
Technically with eyes.
Technically, yeah. As long as because if you're trying to see me with magic, it's harder.
So because I'm not a complete ass, and I'm still sort of like hovering as I like leapt up in the air to see, like, well, if you still want to follow and get this thing done, then follow me, and I'm flying off in that direction.
I'll say since you were able to spot me, you just see like Nightcrawler bamfing just in a
yeah, that's exactly what I was imagining.
A puff of dark.
Yeah, I'm following that, but since I can't blip in and out of existence, the Hammer and the Rook have a more clear line of sight as I hover over this battlefield to fly off. Quite speedily, though, as I do have a flight speed.
Excellent. Do me a favor. What is the object of power say for its depletion rate?
Yes. 1 second. It is a 0 to a 2 check each hour.
Okay, so you're fine for now.
Yeah.
You're active for an hour. Okay, Allegra, Okris, you have seen one ally completely vanish and reappear, or you haven't seen him reappear. You've seen one ally vanish and one has just taken to the air and is beginning to guide you. What do you guys do?
Can I ask a quick question just for my edification? If you have an object of power and it has a depletion, what happens when it depletes?
It basically just goes inert. Does it
stop working forever?
No, that would be item depletion. Object deplete. I think that effect depletion is what we're going to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I have a for this one. There's an effect depletion. I also do have an item depletion.
I have an object depletion.
Yeah.
So
like
that
I have an
becomes
object depletion.
depowered until it gets repowered somehow, and the rules are not clear on how that happens.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. I just want to know how sparingly I have to use something.
Is it so that's for item depletion, but if it's just the effect, it's just inert until like the next sunrise.
Same as if the spell.
That's exactly. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. So Okris is just gonna turn and look at the Rook, and onwards.
Seems one of them is a fool, and one of them has some vested interest in trying to keep this group together. So we'll see which one of you shall be. And then she walks off.
I think you start walking, and you see Okris start jogging. Just extremely heavy. I think it's kind of, I would say notably, their footsteps seem to hit a little bit harder than they should. And as they just, the stride is almost perfectly in step, like just extremely implacable, and as they run past you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that as you guys are traversing, I would like you guys, are you trying to make this approach stealthy? Is there any kind of particular attack that you are taking as you are moving towards the rendezvous point?
I fly casual.
Okris, Rook, or Okris and Allegra?
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to be subtle?
Okay.
Yeah, I think Okris is going in a straightest line as possible to wherever their destination is, following, probably using the Irreverent Mott as a guiding point. Just a heat-seeking missile, just on your tail.
Excellent.
Homing beacon. I think as Allegra walks, she will commune briefly with Sophanox, and she will ask Sophanox to go up into the sky and gain some intelligence on the kind of overall landscape.
Excellent. You just hear, ah! And Sophanox takes to the air, and you see in kind of behind you, Everett, that this raven has taken flight from the Rook's Head, and is kind of doing a higher swoop over the battlefield. And I will say to the people that are flying, you see the following. You see a very clearly delineated kind of border between what appears to be probably, I think, barbed wire between what appears to be this long track of land that is just pretty much mud and debris. And then there is a long maze of trenches as you kind of make your way forward. And that maze of trenches, you know, is where you are bound for. As you fly closer, you can hear the sound of repetitious explosions, but you also hear the sound of the crying wounded, as well as the sound of an oppositional force not too far away onto one side. And as all of you kind of like, I think, probably take a look, there appears to be almost similar to a trench a few clicks away there, but it seems to be more of like a burrow, as if like a honeycomb or a network of ant tunnels or something along those lines. Whatever it is, you cannot see through to the tunnels themselves, but they appear to have this kind of strange, almost beehive-like texture to them. And you realize that those, if they are trenches indeed, are the trenches of the enemy. What do you do?
Fucking hate that.
Right now, I'm just following Kieran's trail.
Yeah. Actually, I need you to go ahead. You hear a report, Everett, and you hear the report of what sounds like kind of like a, and you see what appear to be kind of a muzzle flash as it appears to be targeting this person that has taken flight and is now a projectile flying through the air. I need you to make a dodge roll.
I'm good at those.
Okay. Your target number is going to be a 6.
Nope, it'll be a 5. And can I pop a bene into that as well?
Absolutely.
Would that be movement?
Yes, that would be movement. So you are moving to dodge.
Target is now 4.
Okay.
That's a 5 on the dice.
Oh yeah.
So.
I will tell you this, it is a very close roll. So you feel the wind rush past your torso as what appears to be some sort of small ordnance flies past, and you kind of reflexively dodge out of the way.
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, do a barrel roll. So yeah, I think it seems to be you are higher up, or you are less high up than the Raven. What do you do?
Is the Raven in danger?
That is a very good question.
I have a question. How far away is this from Okris?
I will say you have been kind of hanging back to make sure that they follow you, Everett. So I will say, what do you say, about 20 feet back, 30 feet back?
Oh, just that far?
Yeah, probably not far at all.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. No reason.
Yeah, and yeah, so I will ask you this. What level of creature is the Raven, Allegra?
Sophanax is level 9.
Excellent. Okay, so you literally just see the bird kind of barrel roll and then kind of a light on your shoulder as you are flying, Everett.
You all right there, little one? All right, stay close. So I have a fun thing that happens whenever I use items or spells. And remind me also how secrets work. I'm pretty sure that costs sorcery.
Sorcery, secrets do not cost sorcery, only spells and forte abilities.
Oh, I'm just full of fun things. So whoever is shooting at me, if they can see, I look like the most terrifying thing in existence. I have a fun, and I'll read this out because I am just so delighted by this particular secret. I have Darkening magic. Any magical effects, spells I cast, items I use, and so on, take in a dark, forbidding appearance. Any magical effect is involved that I use has gloomy shadows, horrific skulls, leering eyes, hellish flames, sharp teeth, hissing serpents, and so on. It's purely cosmetic. Does not add any effect, but it scares the living daylights out of people.
Okay, and what level is that effect?
It is 2.
Okay, so I think that when you kind of like your attention turns to the source of the suppressing fire, you just hear this kind of this chittering kind of wail from some place where the shots originated, just and then silence, quiet.
Where did this person projectile end up?
The person projectile. Are you what are you referring to for the person projectile? Oh,
the thing.
Yeah, the ordnance, the thing that was fired, it flew past.
Yeah. Flew past.
Yeah.
So that's no longer that's not a threat to us right now.
It is not. It appears to be targeting whoever is flying in the air.
Which is
me.
Which is it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. If it's targeting, that's what I care about. Can I cast a spell?
You may.
I'm gonna cast my lowest level spell. I roll 3 dice. I'm so excited for this dumb fuck character. All right. So I'm casting Thaumaturgic Strike.
Nice. Okay.
So I get a lot of stuff here. So I have +1 to my venture, and that is a so it's been a minute. Bear with me. So it is a base level 3. I have +1 to the venture, and I what's my target number?
Your target number is 6. So you are going to need 2 successes of 2.
Okay, that's already 2 successes, because that's a 6 and a 5, and unfortunately a 0 on the dice.
Magical flux. Okay.
Magical flux, but also, oh god.
What?
That's the issue with rolling 3 dice.
And a card.
Yeah. So I get to pull a card real quick. I am going to switch to the path.
I will say, even with the -2, my bonuses cancel out. So fuck you, card. You didn't get me. I got me. You didn't get me.
Okay. Oh, this is nasty. Harvesting spider. So I'm not going to go into the details on the picture. Let's see. Builders, weavers, and caretakers, but also hunters, killers. It accentuates red magic. It weakens blue magic. However, someone takes action, people labor to achieve a goal. A newly erected structure becomes important. Various forces debate over a single important action. Thieves or spies are active in the shadows. Okay, so as you cast this spell, there is a bit of flux, which I am going to try and pull up. Let's see.
So also this was this is a base level 5 because of the path of the red sun, and if it's being accentuated by red magic, I don't know what that bumps it to.
Base level 5 +2,
so
plus 2 damage. Yeah.
I've done all the math. So plus an additional 2.
Yeah.
So it's a level 7 spell. I hate this. This is making me anxious now. It's a level 7 spell. If it hits, it'll do 14 points of damage. Okay,
so you hear that when you hear that that chittering yell, Everett, you just hear a like there's silence and then an explosion. As you, I will say this: you have minor flux because you only rolled 1 0. And I will tell you, a cloying scent permeates the area for the next few hours. You can smell the smell of cordite as it wafts through the air. And
so, Okay, so what Allegro probably saw is literally just when this thing kind of flew past the Irreverent Mott, you literally just saw Okris raise their right hand, and you, I didn't describe it, they're definitely wearing fingerless gloves, so you can see that they've got a red thumb, and they just make a finger gun motion, and...
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this, whatever it is, like, you use this, this explosion seems to draw a response from the trenches in front of you as you hear, "That's the specialist team! Suppressing fire! Administer suppressing fire!" And that's when you hear the sound of munitions and magical spells being cast as the trenches begin making their way, because as those in the trenches begin casting magic at the threat. Basically, that is...
the trenches started to move, and I was like, fuck!
That is actually the effect
of course they do.
Invisible sun.
That was the, I will say this, that was the effect of the Sooth deck pull.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go. I will tell you this, yeah, a barrage of suppressing fire and magic begins cascading out of the trenches to assist you in your speedy kind of rendezvous. I will say this, you are watching all of this from a fairly comfortable distance away. Kieran, what are you doing?
So have I made it to the where were we going? The statue?
Yeah, you are making your way to basically a what you realize, all of you, by the way, who took to the air, was there is a very large kind of cathedral, the Cathedral of the Unknowable Angel, to the kind of the west side of these trenches, and it's a very large landmark. By the time that you guys all begin running up, you cannot miss it. I will say that with your magic, Kieran, you are like, I think you're taking shelter under one of the awnings of the cathedral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's looking for the operative that we're supposed to meet up with.
I will say this. I think that you kind of understand that whoever the operative is going to be in the trenches. Okay.
I think Mott is gonna land any minute now as soon as he spots you and like will touch down.
Yeah, how much of a head start did I get?
You had I mean, you traveled a mile.
So could I have used a 10-minute rest? I think he's just sitting there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got your feet kicked up. There's like kind of like probably a side table. It's almost kind of Saving Private Ryan-esque, where they're in the French town, and there's just some side tables from local restaurants that have been used as kind of de facto sitting lounge areas by the troops. And in this case, everything is completely unpopulated. There's nobody there. It's pretty much a no man's land, except for you, who have kicked up your feet, and you're looking very expectantly at Irreverent Mott.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really give a lot of people a head start there, do you?
I usually work alone.
So do I.
And yet we're part of this team. Why do you think they put us together?
I'm going to assume it's because of our unique skill sets, but we're only going to get out of this if we work together. And frankly, I'm not dying here, so...
That makes two of us.
You pull that stunt again, I'm gonna have to take you out.
Very well.
And
good. Well, as long as we understand each other, then I'm sure it'll be fine.
How does your mask work? It's my intention, not my facial expressions, that you cannot see at this moment, right?
It's what I can kind of glean from how you speak to me and what your body language kind of gives off. If I want to be more, like, if I want like a total like insight check, I have a roll for that. I have a thing for understanding people's motives, but for what it looks like just in everyday use, I'm just picking up, if you look pretty chill and that's the vibe you're giving me, that's what I'm going to be expressing back.
And it's very hard to tell. It's basically a whole mummy wrap with black goggles. So
I'm going based on just your attitude then. So it's purely, if you seem chill and collected, that's the face that you get.
And yeah, he kind of kicks down at his feet and begins to take a lap around this place for probably the third time with his seam ripper, and says, we haven't even gotten to where we need to go. It's already complicated, and walks around.
So is our Okris and Allegra present for this, or are we still catching up?
I would say that I think that by the time that this exchange ends, you have made it, and not only that, the Raven has been perched on Mott's shoulder the entire time.
I'm fine being in the dark. I don't need to know shit. So yeah, you probably just see Okris stomp on up.
I will say, I think back before when Allegra witnessed your sort of action with your fingers, she kind of watched that take place, and then she sort of cocked her head at you and was like, how chaotic, but effective. I'll reserve judgment.
Excellent. As I was going to say, as you guys have this exchange, all of you kind of finally gather in a spot not very far from the rendezvous point. You know that there is an entrance to the trenches not far from the church, probably around towards kind of it is east of the church entrance. There are a set of stairs that lead into a walkway or plaza, kind of a large kind of main thoroughfare, which has been basically subordinated by the trenches themselves.
By the way, it is freezing cold in my vicinity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was it? It is like Everett suddenly has it when you kind of are spending time near Everett, when you're spending time near Kieran, it is like he is himself a cold spot.
I wonder how much that really can affect somebody like the Irreverent Mott at this point, given where he normally lives.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I think there's like, Kieran, you would probably notice this. There's like an eerie, not shiveriness about him as he sort of just walks calmly at your side as we're pacing, waiting for everybody.
Yeah, really the only thing you see from Kieran is just the puff of breath coming through the face wraps.
Mott is trying to figure you out though, but unfortunately you can't see that on his face.
You're the worst.
As you are holding the seam ripper, by the way, if you manage to grab the seam ripper at this point, there is something that you notice, which is that it's shimmering with blue magic, but there is a dark tinge to it.
And that's like directly ahead of us?
No, it is while Mott is in your vicinity.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah. So I will tell you this, as you, if all of you are making your way to the trenches at this point, there is an entrance, and as you kind of step into it, there are bodies of cowering soldiers, knees to chest, everybody kind of trying to huddle for warmth and for shelter and kind of cover underneath these trenches, or underneath the covering of these trenches. I will also say that, yeah, I think that's kind of what I will say. There are the cries of wounded all around you. What are all? Yeah.
So Mott's mask instantly just shifts into one of, like one of those like old tragedy masks.
Absolutely. One thing I do want to note, thank you, Other Doc, for raiding us. And
hey!
We're so happy to have y'all here. Thanks for enjoying us for our Invisible Sun playthrough. Just a warning to everybody who's tuning in that we are dealing with war-related and trauma-related events. So if that is triggering to you, we just ask that you consider that for your discretion. So anyhow, we are moving forward through the trenches. You are surrounded by wounded soldiers crying out, and you see a young, kind of what appears to be a corporal from the bars that are on their lapels, just gesturing, say, "Are you the specialist team?"
And really, like, what's the answer? Like, we're a bunch of freaks. Look at us. Like,
Yeah.
we're just the scariest people, of
We
course.
look like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
we did. I will say for the audience, everybody came up with these independently, so there was no planning with anybody else, as far as I know. So
No.
we're all just the fucking worst.
I love when this happens.
Yeah. Everybody with the exception of Allegra is like, I think that there are some of these as you walk past, there are soldiers and you hear hushed whispers from those who are not injured. Those that are injured, some of them are laughing, some of them are crying in their kind of delirium. And as you're kind of walking your way, and you're walking your way towards the sound of the voice, and there is a thin young corporal staring at all of you, just looking expectantly. You must be the specialist. There's no other thing you could be. This way, and begins walking through the trenches, and is not even pausing to look and make sure that you're behind him. What are you all doing?
I'm following.
Oh,
Likewise.
Okay, so as you're moving past, you should say, so, we found the munition, we're looking for it. We think that the operating theater, the area of battle, it took us a little bit by surprise. There was a battery placement. The Alpha team was able to take care of that, and you realize that as you're moving, there was a click of the fingers that you barely heard. And you feel all of you are hearing this. None of the soldiers around you are reacting to it. And so, what was it? The Alpha team has taken as much of a forward position as they could, but that was before the munition hit. The battery placement is problematic. We were able to flush out some of it. They really dug in. They were like a tick. But at the same time, the biggest thing is there seems to be some sort of sharpshooter, maybe some sort of scout mission that intercepted the Alpha team. We have one survivor, but he's in a really bad way. If you can help me, maybe we can get some actionable intelligence. Otherwise, you're going to be flying in blind. And
I can talk to him.
You can? Okay.
Yes.
And what was that? Okay, excellent. What are all your names? I'm Corporal Jaren.
the tailor.
1 second.
We react to the news and then
For all of you that are just catching up,
Seriously?
yeah, for all of you that are wondering why everybody's reacting, Jaren is actually a former antagonist. But anyhow, so yeah, the tailor. Great, quite a moniker.
You can just call me a mask.
All right, and Rook, what do they call you? Silver?
Mer.
It's a good look, and just keeps walking and kind of shepherding all of you.
Did I just accidentally give Jaren a fucking thematic? Did this motherfucker rip off my style?
Yeah, man. That's a real smart look.
Woo!
What was it? Anyhow, was it Private Dellen? Private Dellen, are you still with us? And you guys all move into kind of this operating theater. Basically, oh no, I've been signed out. But cancel. Let me see. Make sure everything's okay. Okay, we should be fine.
Everything seems okay.
Yeah. So as you guys are moving into this kind of like part operating theater, part triage area of the tents, there is one soldier that has been separated from the others. It is again a young man, but what was it? The soldiers on either side are from all walks. However, the young man that you see has a goldfish bowl for a head. Which appears to have a pierced crack through it, that is leaking water. The torso of the private is a normal human torso. However, basically their uniform has been stripped down from the shirt. And what you see is the shirt has been removed. You see that there is what appears to be this very black looking infection to one side of the ribs of this young man. Dylan, hang in there. We brought some help. And then Jaren looks back at all of you and says, well, if you're gonna do something, you better do it now. I'm not sure how long he's gonna last. We've done what we can.
Mott sort of like kneels down. You the soldier what saw everything?
Yes.
I'm gonna need you to tell me everything.
We ended up at this operational point, and then this thing it hit.
Just as he's talking, I'm gonna cast a spell because I can see he's struggling. So I'm gonna take essentially. Let me describe this because it's really fun. I'm gonna cast emotional inversion.
Okay.
Whatever they're feeling, it turns inside out. So if he's like in pain or panicking over his imminent death or anything like that, I infuse that instantly with an overwhelming sense of calm and trust.
Absolutely. And as you do this, okay. Whatever you did, I'm just, this is fantastic.
All right, you keep talking to me. Now, tell me from the beginning.
All
the details.
All right. And he sits up, and you realize that he is physically unable to do it, as you hear the sickening crack of a rib. But at the same time, he can't physically do it, but the response, there's no register of the pain, or any kind of deleterious effect. Okay, so the Alpha team engaged the enemy. There was a forward battery placement, some sort of sharpshooter, maybe a spellcaster, in a tower not too far away. It seemed to be a bit of a sharpshooter. The munition, whatever it is, it's organic. It emits a kind of radiation. And then we managed to clean out most of the battery placement. The sharpshooter took out one of them. Elaine, don't let them touch you if you find any of them. Elaine was talking about how she couldn't believe her father was here, and then she just died. She just fell down dead. Don't let them touch you. Also, you're gonna have to be careful. Whatever that field is around the growth, it emits some sort of nasty, like, field or poison or something. Everybody started laughing and then their spines cracked. I feel really tired. I don't know why. I just, like,
That's all right. You take a good long sleep now, soldier. I think you've earned it.
Okay, one last thing. It's like all of them were working in unison. I think they stopped. Somebody was giving them instructions because it's like they cocked their head and were listening to something. It was the only reason we were able to get the drop on them. Okris, you feel it. The beginning of this person's ending. What do you do?
I think this is probably the first. Up until this point, you've seen very little emotion from Okris. They have kept an extremely flat face. Probably the most emotion has been from their voice, and you see them kneel down next to this dying soldier, and just kind of gently asks, "Is there anything else?"
Anything? What else? What do you mean?
If there's nothing else for you now. And Okris is gonna lean in and whisper into the soldier's ear.
My mother, tell my mom, please tell my mother and my brother, and as he says, I love, and he's gone. And you get a point of joy as you shepherd this soldier to his ending.
And I think Okris is going to gently lay this body down. And here's an interesting question. Does a body count as an object?
It does.
I would like to use I would like to use my forte ability, Leech Reality.
Okay.
To cause this to destroy the physical body of this soldier.
Okay. So describe for me what happens as you begin kind of leeching the reality from this vessel, spirit which has left.
Yeah, I think you see Okris just kind of from this kneeling position, having just laid this soldier kind of next to Mott. I assume Mott has the best view of this. Place their hand on the kind of chest, like the collarbone of this soldier, and you see the body kind of shimmer and warp, and then it looks like it seems to start falling apart at the edges and becoming blurry before just rapidly disintegrating into dust flakes until there's nothing left.
And you feel the spirit leave the body, and as it leaves and the body begins to seed the earth once again, you feel the spirit in its trajectory leave for the Pale. And all is right. At this moment, I will ask, before we go to break, Allegra, Kieran, do you guys have any reaction to this?
Kieran steps forward pretty forcefully and says, "We were told to get samples," and grabs a handful of this dust.
It literally disintegrates to further and further particulate matter as you grab it.
And he kind of stomps off and says, "Do me a favor. Don't touch anything until we need to get a sample of it, please."
And Allegra, what about you? What do you do to respond?
I think Allegra sort of looks between Kieran and Okris. Do you begrudge him, Kieran? Them for what they've done?
For going against our direct orders? Why, yes.
Shepherding this soldier to peace. That was more what I was referring to.
The soldier was infected. Did you not see the black mass?
Yes, and there wasn't time.
For
there were
what?
seconds.
I'm sorry. Was the goal to disintegrate the body within a matter of seconds of death?
I have a feeling that I think where we're going to have plenty of samples to choose from.
If you want samples, the best place to go is to the source.
By all means.
You
could compare an infection at the source to what it does to our soldiers at the end of life, but surely I'm just the maker along for the ride.
And as you say this, Jaren re-enters the compartment of this tent. And like, I think that a lot of people have been kind of looking at all of you as this has transpired. They literally watched one of their own kind of disintegrate. There's a lot of frightened looks, and Jaren kind of joins all of you, looks at all of you, says, "Okay, that's enough. Wherever you need to go, we need to go now. You're already raising enough suspicion as it is." And yeah, I think it's a very hushed tone versus kind of like I'm going to like shout all of the instructions out at you, because Jaren realizes this is a bad scene. And now Jaren is looking very seriously at all of you and says, All right. You have your intelligence, I take it. We need this. Top brass is saying this is important. So, best of luck. If you have any resources that you can spare us, we'd be appreciative. Otherwise, there's not much we can offer other than maybe a rendezvous point if you accomplish your objective.
And Kieran opens the bag, reaches in, and pulls out a scarf, and says, "Tie it like so, except not the left over the right. I'm sure you're right over the left. Left over the right would trigger this." And this is the voiceless song ephemera item. And says, "Use it when you need it."
What does it do? As he's looking at this very fine craftsmanship.
What does it do? Its pattern is like lines with little feather etchings in it, all across in a little pattern. And says it makes it more likely to succeed. Use it when the need is most dire. Mechanically, it adds 3 enhancements.
Excellent. Nice. At which point he just nods and thank you. Best of luck out there. May the invisible sun shine on you. And he puts the scarf over his shoulders, making sure not to tie it until it's necessary.
I feel like as they're walking out, just like the Reverend Mott just like has like one hand over the chin of their mask, just like, why does everyone say that? You know, may the invisible sun shine on you all. It's not even a real sun, isn't it?
Before you say it, Kieran says, and also with you.
We've uncovered the Catholic. Yeah, what was that? So you guys are kind of led in kind of like the direction of where your objective is. There is still very much the trench, and then there is kind of the no man's land in front, which 2 clicks standward, 1 click remward is going to be the approximate location of your objective.
Well, there's a limited number of options here. We go in hard, we go in fast, or we go in stealthy.
If there's some sort of, dire force field that's, irradiating everyone, I don't think going in proverbial guns a-blazing is really going to help us in that situation.
You, Taylor. You like flitting around. You do that with everybody else.
Don't usually have other people to do it with. I prefer we go the stealth route. I don't think anyone needs to know that we were here.
I like that.
And how do you propose stealthing through a radioactive field?
He looks to the Rook and then back at you, Okris, and says, "It seems like both of you would have a tough time going unnoticed, unless, of course, you have talents that I'm not aware of."
I think you actually see, I think you see Okris just give kind of like, you can see the crinkles, like the very tiniest crinkle, because this half mask really obscures most of their face, and so I think this is one of the few times where probably it's Mott probably gets a reflection of anything other than implacable certainty off of Okris, and this is just amusement.
I already love the fact that you guys are explaining your emotions through Mott's mask. That's exactly what I was hoping y'all would start doing. I'm so pleased. Empath strikes again.
I love it. Allegra, what are you thinking while they're discussing this as well?
Yeah, I think Allegra's kind of, a side of her mouth kind of quirks up at this insult, as it were, that Kieran has just lobbed, the implication. Because it seems very clear to her that Kieran does not believe that she nor the hammer have anything particularly valuable to offer to this operation.
Kieran respects the hammer as a blunt instrument. You are...
An enigma.
An extravagance, it seems.
An
academic.
An extravagance wrapped inside a puzzle box, stuffed into a chimichanga, and then thrown off a cliff.
The assassin and the soldier were told to guard the helpless scientist and the helpless maker. And he knows that he's not helpless.
Never said that anyone was helpless. Let the record show. I haven't decided yet.
Decisions yet to be made. I think Allegra sort of looks out at what's in front of them, like almost as though, and if you're looking at her do this, you're kind of seeing almost like what a chess player would do when they're looking at the board, kind of assessing, okay, where are the pieces? What are my first opening gambits? What does the enemy look like in this particular situation? And how can I then structure my first moves to potentially catch them off guard from the first instance? And so I think to do this, she would like to send Sophanox up into the sky again to get a sense of what this radioactive area actually looks like in terms of cover, in terms of enemy presence.
Absolutely. I will tell you this, because it is night, you are going to be able to have a bonus to your venture. It is complete pitch darkness now. The other thing I will say, Sophanox is level 9, so basically their venture is going to start at a 10. If you can roll, depending on what you roll, I will give you basically whatever information Sophanox would know.
Can I give a perception bene of mine to Sophanox, or does that not work that way?
Because this has more to do with the chain tree, I'm going to say you can.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Then I will do that. I will give a perception bene. And that's a 7 on the die, so 8.
Okay, so with that, that's a 19, essentially. So the idea here is that you uncover everything. Sophanox sees it all. The idea is that Sophanox takes to the sky and begins doing a very high circle around the area, which is to say that basically you see uncover several things. There appears to be what looks like a large blast radius around which, in the center of which is what appears to be the target of your ordnance. This is about, like I said, 2 clicks and 1 click over standward and renward. So the idea here is whatever it is, it's very large. It's about, I'd say, 10 feet by 5 feet. So basically kind of this oblong shape. And it seems as though there are growths growing out of it and beginning to spread over the battlefield. And, you know, with regard to this battlefield, this open field, basically what used to be the remains of a park, there is a very large tower over which you can see what are clearly 2 of the enemy placed in a, I think at this point, Sophanox alights and kind of peeks over, and you see 2 of the enemy. And the enemy, as you guys have understood it, is very insectoid and bird-like. These enemies, basically what they are is they have this sloping helm that covers the majority of the top half of its face, each of them. And they have what look to be a very large, kind of long, beak-like proboscis. And on top of that, there is these kind of growths of feathers in at the ends of extremities and in joints, all throughout the chest. They are all very white in coloration, or some kind of color of off-white for some of them. But the big thing that you notice about them is they have very long spans of golden gold stretching past the elbow of their skin, typically kind of ending in the shoulder as it kind of fades to white. And as Sophanox looks at the helmets, or the kind of like the oblong kind of helmets or half top, half masks that they're all wearing, you can see two golden eyes shimmering through the material as if it's so bright it could pierce it. That is what you see on the tower. That is what you see at the blast site. But as Sophanox watches, you also see that there is a patrol. And what is most disconcerting, I will tell you this, from your strategy, you would know that it has been very hard for any of the Satyrinian forces to recover the corpses of the enemy, as they seem to decompose very quickly, or they just seem to vanish. And as you watch, you see why. As you're watching, you wouldn't know that there was a patrol, except an aperture opens in the air, and a squad of 8 walk through the aperture and begin what looks to be a circuitous route. And about halfway through the route, they walk back through the aperture, and another aperture opens. So they seem to be phasing in and out of reality through a hole in the indigo sun.
They're just thinking with portals.
And now we've understood, finally. This has been an in-joke.
This is the hole in the world.
The entire time.
I did it. I solved it.
Portal 3.
Guys,
The
Portal
sky
3,
clouds
the
part.
hole in the world.
Yeah, there it is.
The clouds
It's in the
part.
title.
The cake wasn't a lie, but technically it was still a lie. Don't worry too hard about it; you'll hurt yourself.
It's not the cake is a lie. It's the lie is a cake. It's everything on Twitter where everything's a cake.
yeah, hold on. Dave
so
Johnson here. Yeah, sorry.
As the bird comes back. Oh, do we need a card pool for the last spell that was cast?
Absolutely, we do. Thank you for keeping me honest, Bill.
I want to see more cards.
So
You
many
have
more
it.
cards.
Beautiful card.
So as the bird comes back, and Kieran kind of mutters under his breath, and that's her idea of being noticeable.
By the way, that reminds me. Is there any specific coloration to Sophanox? Are they just black?
No, I think they're mostly like just pure deep black, but I think some of the feathers have like an indigo sheen to them. Like if you were to look at them under the sunlight, there's kind of like a purpling in a lot of the feathers, but in the nighttime you can't see any difference. I think Sophanox blends in pretty well with the dark.
Excellent. Okay.
I thought you said they were bright gold. I must have been mistaken.
That was my mistake. I've been playing Demon Souls, and the Adjudicator has a raven that is gold for a head. I'm sorry. So we all have our ghosts. They haunt us. Oh, by the way, this is the ghostly presence, which accentuates pale and it weakens green magic. We all have our ghosts. They haunt us, both metaphorically and, of course, literally. We can become weighed down by our past sins, our unrequited feelings, our unresolved issues. As humans, we crave closure, but is such a thing ever truly possible? The ghostly presence suggests that it is not. There's always something from our past that will arise to remind us of the wrongs of long ago. Something from the past, something perhaps something forgotten, arises in the present. The most typical interpretation is that this ghost from the past will give the person in question trouble, but it's possible that the reminder of the past is not entirely negative. I will tell you this, actually. I think that this is appropriate. Mott, as everybody is talking, and I think Kieran is kind of imparting some snide wisdom to Allegra with regard to Sophanox, you have a flash of something. You feel a little cold, and a familiar feeling washes over you. Can you tell you? I think that there is a smell. I think that smell of cordite that's been following Okris ever since the flux, it mixes with something in the air, and you are reminded of the burning wings of the moths in the accidental space. What do you do?
Am I associating that with the enemy patrol? Or do I think that I feel them imminently around us as we're talking?
I will. It is not that you feel them. It's just it's a disquiet. It's this kind of feeling about when you recall the accidental space, and there's like there is an association with it. What is? Yeah.
Yeah, I think. No, I don't know who's paying attention to him at this moment, since I feel like the background noise of like Kieran and Allegra's imminent argument just sort of fades in and out of my ears as I hold tight to the ring on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because once you think about the accidental space, it's almost as if it will come and take you back, and there's just this grim determination that would be hard to read on Mott's face, because it's going back and forth between reflecting Kieran's indifference and Allegra's outrage at being talked down to. So it's just flashing between those two things as he's thinking about Chaya.
Yeah.
Like almost like religiously, just like, I'm not going back there.
Okay.
I'm here now.
Yeah, and as you are gripping the ring tight, all of you hear the crack of a knuckle as you just see Mott gripping their hands very tightly.
So this target's still, like you said, like two kilometers away.
Yeah, pretty much. 2 clicks and then 1 click. In a direction that is unique to Satyrine. But anyway.
Question, very long range is what?
Very long range. Bill, do you have that handy?
No, but it's less than a mile.
Yeah, it's less than a mile.
Okay.
Yeah.
No reason.
Okay. So
we can stand here debating, or we could get going.
So Sophanox has come back at this point, I take it. And then so Allegra will take Sophanox's report and look at the other 3. The thing about chess is, and I suppose about war, it's so damn linear. Trench to trench, enemy line against enemy line. But here, what my bird reports, here is a crater, which is a circle, and a target in the center. Open field, no cover. There's a tower lording over it, enemies at the top, but it could be good to have the high ground. It often is.
I can give us a high ground.
Further, there is a patrol, which seems to be phasing in and out of reality through a dimension door, some sort of portal. Means it's going to be very difficult to predict where precisely the patrol will appear, which means, Mr. Von Melas, that stealth might be a difficult approach, despite our best efforts.
If we need a patrol to disappear, that can be arranged.
But can you be sure that you're going to get all of them?
Yes.
I suggest we split here with our skills. It seems there are several targets here that need to be taken care of before we can deal with whatever it is in the middle of the crater. It would be best that we gain the tower and that we take care of the patrol before we approach the organic mass in the center.
The objective, is it the tower? The intelligence alpha team?
My focus is the weapon. I believe that is what lies at the center of this crater.
But
that's the organic mass.
We have 2 instructions. 1, yes, get samples. 2, find out what happened to Alpha Team. And if they're alive, possibly try to bring them back. If we can even touch them.
If we can even find them.
Well, Alpha Team, I would hazard a guess, might have tried for the tower. It seems a good strategic thing to try to gain that ground. It's a start, at any rate.
Is there a way to avoid it altogether?
Suppose we could, but then the enemy has the high ground. Puts us at a disadvantage.
Puts you at a disadvantage, and I'm just rotating the ring around my finger.
Yeah, you just destroy the tower.
By the way, Everett, you are still floating off the ground. It hasn't been an hour.
Oh snap! All right, I'm floating off the ground.
Yeah, and
I've been like ominously hovering this entire time.
I will say this, not to gloss over what Okris said. Okris, go ahead.
How attached are you to the tower?
Depends on how many quote-unquote samples there might be. And she looks at Kieran.
The tower might be where they're holding the Alpha Team. I can't believe I'm the one reminding you of this.
What, you're thinking about blowing it up?
I'm not.
It would be an interesting strategy, actually, to take the high ground out of the whole equation. Then no one can have it. An interesting gambit.
And we'd be killing our allies.
If our allies are there, that's an assumption.
That's quite a risk. You willing to take it?
Depends on how our odds look, really.
And you've got a big enough hammer.
And I think at this point, you guys are slowly but surely kind of making your way towards the operational area. You're discussing this. I'm going to give you one more minute to come up with what your strategy is. I'm
trying to decide how much. So in character, Okris is just kind of like, we need to make a decision now. Do you want the patrol gone or do you not?
Oh, we want the patrol gone. Absolutely.
Then get me within a mile and we'll make it disappear.
Along with everything inside of it.
The patrol
Not
and
the
the
tower,
tower
the
are
patrol.
different.
I need to be in the tower if you want the tower gone.
I could probably also carry you and drop you down.
We could try to infiltrate the tower, I suppose, as a first measure, but I must say I do like Okris' suggestion of destroying it if things go sideways.
I could also I can't take you all at once, but I could probably take each of you, land at the highest point on the tower, and work our way down. I mean, the patrols that you just saw were coming in and out around it. You didn't say anything about them coming from top.
Well, there were two enemies at the top of the tower.
Oh, we can take those.
It would be a direct one-on-one fight, but
that's why you brought me.
Hammer, how obvious is your solution to the patrols? Would it be announcing our presence?
Depends on whether they have time to cry for help or not, and if they have the means to do so.
Why don't we use that as a last resort? We can probably easily silence the two that are at the top of the tower, make our way down. Things get a little bit hairy, things go sideways. Boom, get rid of it, and just, I guess, mop up the rest. Yeah?
I recommend that you leave the weapon in the middle to me, and you spend your time eliminating targets.
Fine by me.
Finding Alpha Team.
I believe we were instructed, Kieran, for both of us to deal with the target at the center of the crater.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
You have
So I think we're not going to be leaving it quite just to you.
If I may, why don't we hash out who gets to touch the radioactive what's it in the middle, but after we take care of the big tower and, you know, the many enemy patrols are up there, one thing at a time?
It needs to happen simultaneously. This needs to be a two-pronged attack.
Three-pronged, actually.
We're not going to be able to get one without the other, so...
It shouldn't be an attack at all. I could go in there by myself.
If they thought that you could go in there by yourself, Mr. Taylor, then you would not have the rest of us. So it stands to reason, yeah, that there might be some things that the rest of us might be here because they needed us.
Can't
They
falter
don't
logic.
know who I am.
Oh, shut it. You don't even know who I am. Just your egos here are just astronomical, and I can't listen to this anymore because you're making my face hurt. I think blowing up the tower, what a great idea, but maybe it's a bit too noisy because we don't really know the enemy that well. There's a thing in the middle that can radiate God knows what kind of horrors in the middle of it, and there's also a team that we got to extract that might be alive or might be undead and who knows what, but we can't do that while sitting here, so why don't we try to get some space and get up to the top of the thing, and at least we can start fighting our way down and see what's there.
As a battle strategist, I would say that absolutely makes sense. I say we send the hammer to take care of the patrol, infiltrate the tower, see what the tower is. If the tower is not of relevance, then we can destroy it so that no one can have it in the future and destroy whatever else may be in it, and then we proceed to investigate what is in the center of the crater. Is that acceptable to everyone else on this team?
Kieran says nothing.
All right. You have voted. And unfortunately, Kieran, you have been outvoted. So, let us go ahead and proceed. Who is doing...
I need to be within 1 mile of the patrol to do what I want to do.
Do you need me to, like, do you want, like, kind of an airdrop escort? Or
I would
are you just going to kind of walk there?
I would love to be dropped out of the sky so I can do what I want to do.
Sweet. I can probably carry one person at a time. So I can take you as I fly up.
Honestly, yeah.
And just get you in range.
I can deal with the patrol on the way to the tower. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's even better. Can you do it on the go? Let's do this thing.
All right.
Let's do it from the air.
I think Allegra will take this opportunity to cast one of her forte abilities, which is called You Can't Kill an Idea. It is level 3. It is... she calls upon her collection of concepts and original ideas to encase her in a literal brainstorm. While the storm rages, she gains +1 armor, and any enemy that touches or attacks her at close range suffers 3 mental damage.
Excellent.
Challenge accepted.
All right. So at this point, I believe, Mott, you are gripping Okris, and I think probably taking to the air. It is nightfall, so you are going to have 1 to your venture. And also with Sophanox's intelligence, you are going to have a benefit to your timing. You need to get 2 successes to get the drop on this magical enemy, as their awareness seems to span beyond the helmets, but not so far as they were able to detect Sophanox. So you have 2 to your venture to start with, and then whatever skill rolls you want to make on top.
What's the current card?
The current card is Ghostly Presence.
Oh, that's great. I'm just thinking. You said that you can do it up, like from the air, like as so to combine the 2 ideas that we had, where we're gonna try to work our way down from the tower and you can take care of the patrols. If you can do it from the air, I'm gonna keep flying as if we were gonna go up to the top of the tower, and you can cast while we're doing that.
The one spell I have in mind has a very long range.
Okay.
And if I pump it and then pump it some more, I think I can do... It does a shitload of damage per round to everything within a short range.
Perfect.
From up to a mile away.
I also have 2 to stealth as I'm flying over, which could I add that to this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, so what's my number now?
You start at 4. You need to get 2. You need to succeed on a challenge of 6, but you need to get it twice. So
Okay.
you either use an enhancement, use a sortilege, whatever you need to.
Okay. Oh, those are both going to work because one is a 9 and one is a 7.
Okay, so you take to the air and the darkness swallows you up in the kind of like the indigo tinged night of Satyrine. Okris, as you are kind of looking down, you then see an aperture in reality open in time with what Allegra has. I think Allegra, what you have done essentially is you've given them the timing of how this portal opens and kind of when and where to expect it, because you find the pattern. That said, as you are flying above, you see the portal open. You see 8 of these creatures walk through in kind of like ranks. Kieran, Allegra, what are you doing while they are airborne?
Kieran is just standing there holding his bag.
Okay.
His breath kind of coming out in the cold.
Okay.
So well.
All right. Allegra, what are you doing?
I think Allegra looks over at Kieran. Well, aren't you going to set up for your part in this?
The patrol is cleared.
And we cut back. Okris, you are probably a good bit of height. I'd say probably a couple 100 feet above this patrol. What are you doing?
All right, so a couple 100 feet is perfect. I would like to use an object of power.
Okay.
I did just roll for the depletion. I'm going to use Thief of Voices. And you see on the left hand, on Okris's left hand, exposed by these fingerless gloves, there are two kind of thimble-like metal caps. They make a plucking motion and steal the ability to speak from one of these creatures if it can. And then it does that work, Zach?
What is the level of the ability?
The ability is 6 + 1 die. That is an 8 and a 9 on the dice.
You automatically succeed.
Okay.
Venture is 6. You just need to get it twice.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then I'm going to use the second part of this ability. They cannot make any sound of any noise. If on the next round the wearer immediately casts a spell with the sound facet, it costs no sorcery points. I'm going to cast Dark Magic, or Dark Noise, which has a very long range. It has the sound facet. Mm-hmm. Its base level for me is 5. Its base cost is only 3, but I just wanted to silence somebody's voice because I can. And that is an 8, a 6, and a 7 on my dice. I have +1 to the venture. All creatures within a short, I have Red Sun's Path active, and I am going to pump it with Vital Aspect, which is my second item of power, which is Vital Aspect of Sound. Jesus. So you see, Mott probably sees Okris take these two things and then flick the head of this hammer, which begins to resonate with this awful unnoise and then just kind of flicks the hammer in the direction of this. All creatures within short range are going to take 11 point. And I'm adding a sorcery benefit. They're going to take 12 points of damage per round.
Ooh, okay. All right. So the first round, I think that you steal the voice from the one thing that as you cast magic on it, it detects you. But it moves to scream this ululating cry, and no sound comes out, and you watch as with Dark Noise it explodes in a shower of viscera all over its other compatriots, and you see the one nearest to it also get partly eviscerated by this Dark Noise, which I imagine is kind of like the center of these ranks. And
it's centered to hit as many of them as possible.
So 12 damage on one hit on the first round.
Yeah, on everything, all the creatures within short range.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing: is this is a squad, so essentially they have a collective pool of health. So what?
Oh, sorry, short diameter. Okay.
Short diameter. Yeah. So what is happening is you have irradiated, you have annihilated one of them outright, second one grievously wounded, and the other 6 are kind of moving around baffled. And kind of all soundlessly trying to make sense of what is happening as the visual stimulation tries to kind of overcompensate for the lack of hearing. What are you doing? Okay, so that is Okris's action. Mott, you're carrying him aloft, or them aloft. So what are you, is there any other action that you can take? Or I think that'll be your action unless there's anything special you can do.
No, not until we touch down. I can't do anything yet.
Excellent.
Which I imagine we're about to.
Also, all of them have their any movement actions hindered by 1.
Okay. So I believe, yeah, exactly. I think at this point, Kieran and Allegra, you just hear this thundering, awful noise. as you watch from a distance as two of these creatures just are completely, almost completely annihilated. What are each of you doing? We are now switching to action mode. We are moving in rounds.
Kieran crouches and begins sprinting.
Okay. You are sprinting. You can take your movement. Are you taking any additional action?
At this moment, no.
Okay. Allegra, what are you doing?
I think Allegra probably would have looked toward Kieran, at the sound of that noise and gone, best time we join the fray, eh? And then she would have taken off as well. She also would like to cast Chesnor's Glass Skin, which is level 3. This means her flesh becomes mirrored. She gains +1 to defense against magic and total immunity to unwanted minor magic and minor flux effects.
Excellent. So we are going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to the path and we are going to draw 2 cards for those spells. Okay, first one. I think this one's a good one too. Dangerous Elixir. Power, transformation, risk, and consequences. This is very much a risk. Powerful magic comes in small, perhaps innocuous forms. The Dangerous Elixir proves that to be true. It is powerful and transformative, but is it a boon or a bane? Are the potion's effects harmful or helpful? It's all about the risk you're willing to take and the consequences you're willing to face. Okay. An extremely powerful Vizsla is involved in the events at hand. An NPC takes a terrible risk to get what they want. Someone or something is magically transformed. Current events clearly carry major consequences depending on their outcomes. Okay, so that, perfect. Allegra, as you cast this spell and you get in touch with your magic begins rubbing up against that of another powerful Vance's, which you realize somebody is looking at the action through your eyes. Not only that, I have also drawn the Messiah, which is the defender of visions, swans, blades, and water. Who is that?
Me.
Excellent. Change, salvation, familial love. Many fear change, others embrace it eagerly. Often, not always, but often, the former live happy and satisfying situations, while the latter do not. In other words, change is a salvation that not everyone needs. First and foremost, the Messiah portends change. The source of the change is almost certainly external to the person in question. More often than not, this is a positive change, and in fact, the worse things are for the person, the more likely that the change will be positive. The Messiah can indicate involvement of a beloved family member like a parent or a sibling. This involvement is not always positive. Something changes drastically. A new leader or other prominent figure emerges. I will tell you this, Mont, you feel a power radiating from behind you where you left Allegra and Kieran. And you realize that as you kind of turn your eye back, you are looking at Allegra as this as she casts a spell, and there's a flicker of something behind her, like a figure. So let's go ahead and resolve Allegra's action. So you have cast the Chesnor's Glass Skin. What are you doing with your movement?
Just sprinting towards the action, like toward where Okris is.
Excellent. Okay. So once again, I think at this point the other creatures are going to try to take an action. They kind of are trying to get their scope of everything. I think they fail outright just because you guys are blessed under the cover of darkness, and I don't think that anybody else, I don't think they can see Kieran or Allegra at a distance. However, I need Okris and I need Mott to make me a stealth roll, I will say, as actually, yeah. Go ahead and give me a stealth roll to see if you have been noticed by the two in the tower.
Venture?
Yeah, venture is going to be whatever your stealth benes are. Your challenge is going to be 8.
Okay, I have one additional venture, and I'm going to put a movement.
Also, guys, you are going to need 2 successes as their perception is magical in nature.
Does that mean we have to use a sortilege in order to do that?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
never mind.
This
Not
is how
bene.
this is how you ramp things up.
I have to see how much sortilege I actually have.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll obviously use one because I failed that one.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, failed both of them.
Okay.
Yep, that's a 5 and a 1 on the dice for me, which is only a 6 and a 2.
All right, and now I need both of you to make a 8. I need you to roll an 8 to dodge as these things begin firing at you. Yeah.
I've got some stats for that.
All right.
Orc.
All right, that's much better. 7.
Okay.
I'm gonna pump a sortilege into that as well.
All right.
That is a 8 and a 6.
All right, 8 and a 6. Did you add anything to your dodge roll?
I have skills in dodge.
Excellent.
So I just pumped the one that I already have, so it's not Bene.
Yeah, as you guys are still flying, you hear again the report of, but it's a weird sound, just like as again a string of projectiles, and as you kind of see a cloud of them descending at you, you realize that they are living things. They're like insects or locusts of some sort. Anyhow, so these things are making their way to you, and you manage to dodge past them. And again, it's the top of the round, so Okris, go ahead. What are you doing?
Well, first off, the second, let me roll for, yep, we're hot to trot. The dark noise continues.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's a further shitload of damage. And I am going to cast Crescendo.
Okay.
On which will affect me and Mott. Crescendo is a sound-based spell. It will cost me 2 points to cast, base level 3. Do I need to roll for this?
If you get your venture above a 6, you do not need to roll.
I don't have a bonus to venture, so with this is targeting us beneficially. So I'm gonna roll.
Okay.
That's dope. That's a 7 on the dice. All right. So music gradually fills the area around me, and in this case, it's less music and it's more. It's the vibrate. I think, Mott, do you have a heart?
I don't know. Do I?
That is that's a question.
That's a you question.
How would you know? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think you start to hear both Okris's heart and Mott's begin to play a beat that grows faster and faster, like it's just the sound of it kind of echoing. Music gradually fills the area around me, its volume and intensity growing. Each round, all beings within close range of me when I first cast a spell move a bit faster. On rounds 1 and 2, all actions gain +1. On round 3 and after, those affected can take 2 actions each round, each with +1. On rounds 4 and after, all action gains +2. On round 6 and after, those affected suffer 1 wound per round from the constant acceleration. So I'm going to cast that and to get that going.
Okay, so I will tell you in that case what happens is you with this not only the use of dark noise, with the use of this second spell, you basically manage to sonically annihilate these creatures. Basically they have 7 injuries per wound. You manage to do 4 wounds roughly with that, and with that you watch as the squad falls apart. Mott, what additional action are you taking? Are you
have we landed? Because I can't do anything while I'm holding.
Okay.
While I'm holding Okris.
Well, do you want to land now?
Yes, I would. If we're there, then yes.
Absolutely. You land, and I think from you, however, you do realize that those marksmen are still up in the tower. So what are you doing?
Okay, that's fun. So like I'm gonna drop you, and then I'm literally gonna probably sort of Assassin's Creed style, like roll myself kind of up to them. While doing so, I'm invoking my secret soul and spending a crux to do so.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Now we learned that that's what you do in order to activate it, and because my secret soul is dope as hell. I have, can I say it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have the blade.
Nice. All right.
So what happens is I gain +3 to my attacks and deal +3 damage until the sun next sets. So I have it through the night and through the next morning, y'all.
Excellent. Okay.
In addition to that, I will be coming up against my first victim with a blinding attack.
Okay.
Oh my god, this is gonna be bonkers. Okay. Yes, this does work for that. Oh, cool. So I have an imposter ability that magnifies the damage that I'm doing in addition to my secret soul. We're learning things. I'm basically like a nightmare monk. So my fists begin to glow with this deep, sickening purple darkness that seems to pool like out from my fists. It almost looks like liquid, but you're not quite sure what it is. All you know is like it's like the shadows have actual like they're tactile. And I just slam dunk into the first marksman with my fists, and here I go.
All right. What is your venture? Because it's 3 to start, and then
I've got 3 to start. I have a +1 die with blinding attack, and if I do connect with my fists, they are blinded for the rest of the combat encounter.
Excellent. So what is the level of your blinding attack ability?
It's level 4.
Okay, so you hit automatically.
All right.
Yeah.
In which case I do I need to roll for the damage, or do I just add up?
Add everything.
Like I've never played this game before. It's gonna be 5 points of damage.
And yeah, it's 5 points of damage. Did you add your normal fist strike as well?
Oh, I forgot to do that because that's my regular terror strike, isn't it?
Yeah.
7 points of damage.
Excellent. You see this thing reel as you make contact with it, and it begins again that it seemed to have what you would look like would think would be a rifle, but it is literally just its arm and its shoulder have been kind of modified into this massive growth that you realize is firing those kind of organic projectiles at you. The one to the right of it is a spotter. And so essentially what you do is you impact with it, knock its barrel off course, and you strike it in such a way that basically I think you just bring in a right hook across its temple, shattering the helmet or the half masks that it's wearing, and the golden light begins kind of effusing out of the cracks wildly. You have done like I will say you've done 2 wounds to it. It is looking terrible. It's
blind.
It is blind. It is flailing around. Its spotter is trying to help.
I'm coming after him next.
Okay, cool. All right.
Also, I look terrifying right now because my full secret is out of control. Every time I do a spell or utilize any ability, a hammer, you can probably see that I look like some weird nightmarish figure. I do not look like myself anymore. Like the mask has taken on some sort of like, it's like morphing into like any kind of monster that you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's rad.
All right. So at this point, yeah, your form is metamorphosing. Okris is
I'm dropping out of the sky right now.
Yeah. And not only that, I believe Kieran, you're up next.
How far am I from the
growth?
Yeah.
The okay. You are, I'd say.
Well, not that, because there's also the area right around it where the soldier warned us about.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say there is probably this kind of dead and gray area about 200, like a distance of about 50 feet around this thing. And you are, say, probably 200-300 feet away. What do you do?
I move there instantly to the edge of it, and I want to make sure that no one is in a short distance of me, no one on my team. And I will take the extra action that I saved earlier in the day, and I will take out my Seam Ripper and see if this is a kind of magic, this whatever is here, and if I can disable it.
Okay. This is going to be a level 10 challenge. It's going to need 2 successes. Okay. So remind me, what's the level of your Seam Ripper?
It's a signature item. It doesn't have one.
That's right. Okay. So we're going to say because you're a 3rd degree Vance.
Well, this is disabling magic is level 7.
Not Vance Maker. Yeah, disabling magic. That's right. It's a level 7 ability. Go ahead. You need to make 2 rolls of at least 3.
2. All right.
And you can add venture, you can add to your bene to this, whatever you need to, any relevant skills you got.
What's the rule again? How do you do that?
Add one
is it just sorcery bene?
I would say this is either sorcery or accuracy because you're trying to attack with it.
Okay. I'll spend an accuracy. So I'm trying to get a 2 or higher on 2 dice.
Yeah, 2 or higher.
Yeah, 5 and a 3.
Excellent. You rip through whatever this field is. You don't know how long you have, but you have disabled it. And that is when you hear something. But before we get to that, we're going to end on a cliffhanger today. Allegra, what is your last action before we do that?
So is Kieran near the other? Has Kieran headed into the crater or towards the patrol?
Into the crater. The patrol has pretty much been disabled.
Okay, so Allegra's following.
Okay. Do you take any additional action?
I mean, apart from movement, no, but she will say to Kieran, anything I can do to help.
I mean, he's not there. Unless you moved 500 feet.
Yeah, you're
actually. Well, so I can. I'll do it. Sure, why not? It's the end of the episode, so I'm gonna do it. I am going to use my forte ability, Fair Use. Level 5 plus 1 die. I appropriate for my own use one of the spells or forte abilities of one of my allies. I may recreate a spell or effect that I have seen one of my allies use, as long as when I do so, I attribute the spell to them as part of the casting, and I spend sorcery equal to the original cost of the spell or ability, which includes the cost of this ability. They, in turn, regain 1 sorcery, so you get a bonus too.
I may choose.
Royalty.
Oh, that's such good design. Fuck you.
Oh my god.
I may choose the same target or a different one for the target of the spell or effect. Color is blue.
I was gonna say Maurice and I worked really hard on that. It was very fun. Okay, so
copyright law, everybody.
So what do you do when you attribute the spell?
I think in the spirit of what she was trying to say, she will kind of like cock her head and acknowledge Kieran as she's casting, almost like the acknowledgements at the beginning of this war report. You know, she will actually sort of say, I was quite impressed by the spellcasting demonstrated by Kieran von Melis in utilizing this ability to move as quickly as 500 feet in one singular action. And so in using this particular piece of spellcasting, I wanted to acknowledge that it did, of course, come from this spellcaster, and ultimately I am citing Kieran in my own execution of this ability.
And in almost like a rapid fire auctioneer sense, you are just and what was it? And yeah, Kieran von Melis.
Now down in Alaska and Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. and you are side by side with Kieran as you hear a terrifying sound of a human voice and a creature approaching out of the crater. It extricates itself from the growth. And you just hear this creature with a human voice. It is a wounded person who has been severed at the waist, and the upper torso floats in the middle of the air while these kind of parasitic looking rope-like worms crawl out of either hole or that has been made by the cut. And you just hear, is it someone new? Someone to hate? And that is where we're going to end the episode.
The worst.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
You guys have managed to encounter your first cyst spawn again. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna go ahead and kill the music. We're running a little late. We're not gonna do wrap-ups because we're still at a cliffhanger. We're gonna do kind of the animus interactions and everything next time. But guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you It's so good to be back. So grateful to everybody who's tuning in. Let's go and quickly do our shout outs as well as our kind of heads up and plugs. Marcy, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm very excited to be getting into the nitty-gritty of this interlude. Zach, thank you so much for putting this together. It's awesome. In terms of shout outs, tune in on Tuesday right here on this channel, 8 o'clock Eastern time, for one-shot Flights of Fandom. We're going to have a bunch of people that are all going to be playing assassins that are systematically being hunted down by John Wick. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see some familiar faces, and you know, stay tuned, see what happens. And other than that, Flights of Fandom is happening this Tuesday. It will not be happening again the following Saturday, but tune in on the 30th, and then we'll be back to normal. Scheduling is fun.
Words.
Bill, anybody to shout out? Any plugs?
Yeah, I'd like to plug a movie podcast called Framework that a good buddy of mine, John Bernhard, does. And I recently was a guest on the inaugural episode of their David Fincher series. And you can hear me talk about why I love Alien 3. So check that out, and check out everything they've done. It's a very delightful podcast. They just got done with the whole Quentin Tarantino arcs talking about that. So check out Framework. You can see that at trouble.city. And yeah.
Okay, Hopper, any plugs or shout outs?
Yeah, come watch me die repeatedly to John Wick and increasingly egregious probably borderline copyright violation character ideas of assassins I'm going to come up with. It's going to be real dumb. I don't know. And then, you know, come back in a couple weeks and watch the other part of this, because this is so much goddamn fun. Thank you, Zach.
I try. Thank you so much for saying so. Marissa, any shout outs or plugs this week?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll quickly plug just the fact that if you enjoyed this, and if this is the first time you've seen us playing here on The Hole in the World, we have 27, I think, back episodes on YouTube, which is our sort of first full arc of The Hole in the World, back from, God, it's been more than a year and a half, which is crazy to think, since we started this insane, amazing adventure. But yeah, all of that's up on YouTube. So if you want to catch up with our main characters, please do, because we will be returning to them after the war report.
Excellent. So for my own part, I want to shout out to the Cypher Unlimited crew for having us interviewed. I also wanted to make sure that we plugged Dean Lewis, Dean M. Lewis on DriveThruRPG. Has released a magic supplement for the Cypher system. So if you want to add some kind of like weird magic to your Cypher system games, that is a really cool thing to have. I picked it up recently. That is just something I really wanted to shout out because they were so kind enough to have us on, and I'm really reading it and enjoying it. So that's super cool. Otherwise, shout out to Encounter Party. I know that they are probably streaming right now. Friend of the
show.
Yeah. Friend of the show. They're fantastic and awesome. And other than that, yeah, check out all of the stuff we've got coming up for Flight of Fandom. Hopper, you look like you want to say something else.
One of whom, Ned from Encounter Party, Ned Donovan, will be with us for being hunted down and mercilessly and brutally killed by John Wick on this coming Tuesday. Come check out that awful.
We really know how to treat our friends.
You love to see it, folks.
You do. You love to see it.
Guys, it's so great. This is a lot of fun. I had so much fun helping make these god tier characters, and I'm hesitant to see how this is going to translate to what you guys do with your normal PCs, because that was like it felt so much easier. But I cannot wait to see where you guys go with this. So in the meantime, everybody who's watching, thank you for tuning in. Thank you especially to Other Doc for rating us, to Warbler Wren, who is also the Artistically Inclined, who is awesome, and who cheers us with bits and is a wonderful person. They're great. Angel Citadel Josh, who is a fan, who has subscribed, as well as Mid Armor, And thank you so much, guys, for giving us a warm welcome back. So in the meantime, I hope that all of you are safe and well, that you're taking good care of yourselves as we kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. And may the invisible sun shine on you all. Thanks again. See you in 2 weeks.